I, 18 female, recently lost my father in what has been one of the most painful experiences of my life. He was my best friend, my mentor, and my rock. I'm an only child from his first marriage, and my mother passed away when I was little. A few years after my mom's death, my dad remarried Anna, 47 female, who has a son, Jake, 19 male, from her previous relationship. My relationship with Anna has always been a bit strained, but I tried my best to be cordial because it made my dad happy. After Dad passed, things between Anna and me spiraled completely out of control. I'm honestly at a loss, and I'm questioning whether I was too harsh or if my actions were justified. So here I am. First, for a bit of context. Ever since I was young, my dream has been to attend Dream University. I won't use the real name, but think one of the big ones, like Harvard or Stanford. My dad was always incredibly supportive of my academic ambitions. He worked hard and saved money so I could have the opportunity to go wherever I wanted for school. It was our shared goal, something we bonded over. Dad had set up a trust fund for my college education, and he was adamant that this money would be used solely for my schooling. When I got accepted into Dream University, it felt like everything I had worked for was finally coming together, despite my grief over losing him. Now, here's where Anna and Jake come in. Jake and I are the same age, and throughout high school, there was this unspoken competition between us, at least from Anna's side. She would always compare our grades, extracurriculars, and college prospects. Jake is a good guy, but his academics performance was average at best. He didn't have the same drive for school that I did, and that's totally fine. Not everyone needs to go to an Ivy League school to succeed in life. But for Anna, it was like my acceptance to Dream University was some personal insult to Jake. When I got the acceptance letter, she didn't congratulate me or say anything supportive. Instead, she said something along the lines of, "Well, Jake hasn't heard back from his schools yet. Maybe you should wait before making any decisions." I was confused and asked why that would matter. She brushed it off, but I felt a knot form in my stomach. It didn't make sense at the time, but I let it slide, thinking it was just her being weird in the midst of our grief. Little did I know, that was just the beginning. A week later, Jake found out he hadn't gotten into any of the schools he applied to. He was understandably upset, and I tried to be supportive. Anna, however, immediately turned her attention to me. She said it would crush Jake if I went off to Dream University while he stayed behind at a local community college. "You'll break his heart," she told me. "It's not fair that you get to go to your dream school while Jake has to stay here. He's already feeling bad enough. If you care about this family, you'll defer a year and go somewhere local so you can stay close to him." I was stunned. I couldn't believe what she was asking of me. I tried to explain that this was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for me, that it's something my dad and I had worked toward for years, but she didn't care. To her, it was all about Jake. "You need to think about the bigger picture," she kept saying. "Jake needs you. You'll have other opportunities, but you don't want to be the reason he spirals into depression, do you?" I felt guilty, I won't lie. I love Jake as a brother, even if we aren't particularly close, and I didn't want to hurt him because he was struggling with mental health lately. But at the same time, why should I give up on my dreams for someone else? My dad wouldn't have wanted this. He always encouraged me to go after what I wanted. When I told Anna I wasn't going to defer, she flipped. She told me I was being selfish, that I only cared about myself, and that I was abandoning Jake in his time of need. I didn't know how to respond, so I walked away. After that conversation, Anna completely turned on me. She started treating me like a guest in my own home, the home my dad had bought and paid for. She made snide comments about how I was freeloading, how I should be contributing to household expenses if I wasn't going to support Jake emotionally. She even started locking me out of certain rooms in the house, including my dad's study, where a lot of his important documents were kept. I knew something was up, but I didn't know how bad it would get until one day, Anna dropped the bombshell. "You can't just live here rent-free forever. Once you turn 18, you'll need to start paying your way or find somewhere else to go," she said. I was floored. This was the house my dad had left for me. I couldn't believe she was threatening to kick me out. I asked her what she meant, and she said, "Your father didn't leave you as much as you think. I have rights as his wife. This house isn't just yours. We'll see what the lawyer says." At this point, I knew I had to get my hands on Dad's will. Luckily, he had always been transparent with me, and I knew where he kept the paperwork. But since Anna had locked his study, I had to wait until she was out of the house one day to retrieve the documents. When I finally got to the will, I felt a wave of relief wash over me because she could have destroyed it. As I thought, my dad had left the house to me, all of it. Anna had no legal claim to it. She could stay as long as she was respectful, but the house was mine. I had no intention of kicking her out, until what happened next. I confronted Anna with the will, calmly explaining that the house was legally mine and that I wasn't going to let her kick me out. She looked furious, but didn't say much. I thought that would be the end of it. The next day, however, I came home to find that Anna had packed up all my things and left them in the driveway. She had changed the locks and texted me to say, "If you're so eager to move out, here's your chance." That was it for me. I called a locksmith, got back into the house, and packed her things instead. When she came home, I handed her the will and told her she had no right to kick me out of my own house. I told her she needed to leave immediately, or I would have her forcibly removed. Anna screamed at me, calling me ungrateful and cruel, saying my father would be ashamed of me. She tried to guilt-trip me again, bringing up Jake and how I was destroying the family. But I was done. I told her that she could take Jake and find somewhere else to live, because I wasn't going to be manipulated anymore. Since then, Anna has been staying with her sister, and Jake has gone no contact with me. I feel terrible about how everything unfolded, especially because I didn't want things to get so ugly. I wanted to honor my dad's memory and keep some semblance of a family together, but I also needed to stand up for myself. This house was meant to be my safe haven, and Anna tried to take that away from me. Now I'm preparing to go to Dream University, but I keep questioning whether I was too harsh. Jake is still young, and maybe he really did need me during this tough time. Anna is grieving too, and maybe I should have been more understanding. But on the other hand, she crossed so many lines, and I can't help but feel justified in kicking her out. So, Reddit. Am I the a-hole for kicking my stepmother out of my late father's house after she tried to stop me from going to my dream college? OP's not in the wrong here. OP's stepmother was being manipulative, plain and simple. It's not OP's responsibility to put her life on hold because Jake didn't get into the schools he wanted. OP worked hard for this, and her father would have been so proud of her for following through with her dream. Anna trying to guilt OP into staying home was selfish, and the fact that she changed the locks on OP in her own home is just appalling and says everything about her as a person. And now let's hear the community's opinion. No a-holes, but hear me out. Everyone is hurting in this situation. Anna lost her husband, Jake didn't get into the schools he hoped for, and you're grieving too. I can see why Anna may have acted out of desperation, especially if she saw Jake struggling. That said, her actions were still wrong. It's great that you stood your ground, but I think emotions are running high all around. Maybe once things cool down, you and Jake can have a conversation and try to salvage some part of your relationship. Not the a-hole. You're not the one tearing the family apart. Your stepmother is. She tried to take control of something that wasn't hers, and when she didn't get her way, she escalated things by locking you out of your own house. It's pretty clear she was only thinking about Jake's feelings and completely disregarding yours. You did the right thing by standing up for yourself and your dad's wishes. Honestly, not the a-hole. What your stepmom did was completely out of line. It's not like you were rubbing your college acceptance in Jake's face. You have every right to go to the school you've worked so hard to get into, and your dad's made it clear the house was yours. The way she handled it was manipulative, and kicking you out of your own home was just unforgivable. I think you showed remarkable restraint by not kicking her out immediately after finding out what she was planning. My husband's family has a tradition to go on vacations on Christmas and celebrate. Their vacations are usually overseas, and every family member has to contribute money to go. I paid $3,000 for me and all the kids like my husband wanted. Then I found out that my husband's parents decided that this year they just want immediate family to go on vacation. That means no spouses or children are allowed. I was hurt, but decided to quietly take back the money I contributed to the vacation. My husband's parents found out and told him. He came home and threw a fit, saying it was petty of me to pull the money back. Now his parents cannot afford to go on vacation, but I told them that since the kids and I were uninvited, and he was okay with spending Christmas away from family, then I thought the only logical thing to do is take the money back. He ranted about his unemployment and his inability to contribute to the vacation, and said that $3,000 is nothing to someone who has a salary like mine, but I refused to keep arguing. He's basically sulking and saying that this will ruin his relationship with his family and create unnecessary drama. He's insisting that I made a hasty decision taking the money back and is pressuring me to give it up. So, not only are you and the kids not real family, but that knowledge is supposed to cost you $3,000, and husband fully endorses it? What the duck? You know what else costs $3,000? The retainer for a good divorce attorney, not the a-hole. Hang on. Your husband's parents are planning a Christmas vacation, but are only inviting their children? They're not inviting their kids' spouses and their grandchildren? What the hell kind of parents ask their kids to spend Christmas away from their spouses and kids? What the hell kind of grandparents want to spend Christmas with their kids, but not their grandkids? Not the a-hole. This is 9 kinds of ducked up. Your husband wants to spend Christmas without his wife and kids and is expecting you to pay $3,000 so he can do it? On what planet does this make sense? Take the $3,000 and use it as a retainer to hire a divorce lawyer. No father who cares about his children would fathom leaving them and his wife to go on a Christmas holiday vacation with his parents. The fact that he wants you to pay for this and you are questioning if you are the a-hole tells me that you are in an aggressive relationship. My friend of over 10 years, Connor, is getting married. I don't know the bride, Lisa, that well because I don't live in the same state where they are based, and they've been together for less than a year. But she asked me to be one of the bridesmaids since I'm one of Connor's closest friends. She was nice to me the couple of times we met, so I accepted. Connor's brother hosted a dinner for the couple last weekend, and I was one of those who were asked to make a toast. I said that I'm glad that Lisa came into Connor's life. I recalled how, before they met, Connor told me that sometimes he wakes up at night and suddenly feels sad because he feels alone and lonely, even though things are great at work. When he met Lisa, he told me how easily he found it to talk to her, which was why he asked her out immediately. I said that just a month after they started dating, Connor told me that being with Lisa made him the happiest that he has ever been in a long time, and he really felt like she was the one. I thanked Lisa for making one of the kindest and most caring people I know happy, and wished them a long and lasting marriage. I thought my toast was fine, since everyone cheered. But when I got home, I got a message from Lisa saying that she did not want to see me at the wedding. She said that I made my toast about my relationship with Connor, highlighted the fact that he tried to come on to me, and made her look like Connor is just with her so he doesn't feel lonely. She blocked me, so I couldn't reply. I called Connor to explain my side. I never considered him telling me he was lonely as him trying to come on to me. And I only mentioned the loneliness thing because I wanted people to know that he used to feel lonely, despite his professional success, and having Lisa in his life made him happy. He was surprised by what I told him, because he didn't know that Lisa messaged me. He said that he would talk to Lisa, and they are still at odds about this issue as far as I know. I don't think I'm attending the wedding after all of this, if only to avoid causing any more tension. But I want to know, am I the a-hole here? Not the a-hole. That was a nice toast as you describe it. I'm concerned for your friend, though, that they dated for less than a year and are getting married, that he was lonely, that she reacted this way. It doesn't sound very healthy, more codependent, desperate, and rushed, and she sounds like a nut. Everyone sucks here. Sure, she is overreacting, but the reason I'm saying everyone sucks here is because highlighting someone's loneliness, regardless of the intention, in a toast at their engagement party is deeply tacky, and if I were the subject of that toast, I would have felt embarrassed and a bit miffed you'd essentially painted me as a sad sack. Again, your intention may not have been to do that, but as a third party, that's exactly how I read it. Everyone sucks here. Your toast was too intimate, but her reaction is ridiculous. If anyone should be mad, it's him, for having things he told you in private aired in front of everyone. Not the a-hole. Your speech actually sounds really nice and not at all like you're trying to start anything. Lisa, on the other hand, sounds like a bit of a bunny boiling crazy person. I actually hope this highlights something to Connor that he may not have been aware of, because she sounds super jealous and a bit mad. My wedding to my wonderful husband was last month, and it was magical and so happy, with just one bit of awkwardness. My husband's brother made a speech, and wow, was it awkward and insulting. Highlights were him talking about how my husband used to be such a playboy, sleeping with all different beautiful women, and it took me coming around to make him settle down and grow up. He also made a comment about how I better never cheat on my husband, because he's had his little brother's back through his whole life, and that ain't gonna stop now that he's married. That came off like a threat a little. So at the end of his speech, or maybe just a long pause in it, I couldn't quite tell, I picked up the mic at my table wanting to give him a piece of my mind. But then I remembered who I was in front of, grandparents, children, all of our families. So I just settled on going, "Yikes!" and leaving it at that. Something about the microphone or sound setup or something made that so much louder than anything said on mic all night. Imagine the loudest, boomingest, echoing in a large hall yikes ever. My husband cracked a joke that I sounded like the voice of God. And God saith upon thou, "Yikes, man!" And I started getting the giggles. And the microphone caught them and amplified them. And the sound system got in some feedback loop, screeching over my giggles, which made me laugh even harder at the ridiculousness of it all. Anyway, it kind of cut the tension in the room, way better than me saying anything too mad would have done, and we moved on with our night. Now, it's apparently become some sort of an inside joke on my husband's side of the family to go, "Yikes," at my brother-in-law, which is getting on his nerves apparently. My husband talked to him about the speech, and he apologized for not preparing something better, for making it drunkier than he should have, and for overall sticking his foot in his mouth. He'd apparently meant the taming the Playboy thing as a compliment. And also, he had more to his speech, stuff that was really complimentary to me, but I'd cut him off before he'd gotten past the jokey part of his speech. But he was kind of annoyed about my reaction. That was really condescending and had become a bit of a joke in his family. Apparently, his kids have gotten in the habit of going, "Yikes, Dad," too. I don't really regret what I said. I was on the spot, holding back from saying something nasty, and I felt like I chilled out an awkward moment okay. Am I the a-hole for my reaction? Not the a-hole. This is hilarious, and you handled it well, even with the microphone making you the voice of God. Who starts to talk about the bride potentially cheating in the future during a wedding speech? Not the a-hole. Oh wow, just wow. I mean, who does that? I think yikes was remarkably restrained considering that your brother-in-law devoted his speech to talking about all the beautiful women your husband used to sleep with, and then making some weird thinly veiled threat. I would probably go nuclear if that happened to me. Not the a-hole. Your yikes was probably the best thing you could have said in that moment. He knows he did wrong too, but since he's obviously embarrassed, it would be good of your family to ease up on the yikes and give him some time to get over this moment enough to be able to laugh at it more.